In this episode of Ben Yoma, we're going to talk about Kashrus, conundrums, and myths. All those things that you've asked, you've wanted to ask, or you've been scared to ask. In today's world, the average kosher kitchen has 2.37 ovens. Milchigs, fleishigs, parav, Pesach, upstairs, downstairs, next door. And we automatically assume that you need to have a separate oven for every different kind of baking. The truth is that it's not so simple. In fact, many years ago, more than one oven in a kitchen was extremely rare. How do we manage the use of one oven in a kosher kitchen?
The oven has to be designated for either milchigs or fleishigs. So the way that we had to do it was to make sure that the oven is clean, make a single designation of either milk or meat. That could be done uncovered. And the other designation, when you would go ahead to cook the milchigs, if your oven was considered to be designated fleishigs, it has to be clean. Anything that was cooked dry can be left uncovered. Anything that had a milchika sauce had to be covered.
Lately, people have stone countertops, granite or marble. Everybody wants to know, can I stop covering my countertop for Pesach? Can I just kasher it? And of course you can kasher your countertop. We discussed that in another Ben Yomo episode. People want to make it a little bit easier for themselves. They don't like the idea of pouring boiling water. It gets on the floor, it gets in your drawers. Let me just use a steamer. So we decided that we're going to buy a steamer on Amazon and see if it works. It's quite an expensive steamer. It's a super pro heavy-duty steamer. So I'm going to ask Rabbi Tendler to see if he can kasher something with it. Let me just point out that a steamer can be very, very hot, but in order to kasher, we're going to need roischen, we're going to need boiling water, and we're going to need water. Steam is not enough. Let's take a look and see if this will make it happen.
Steam is water that becomes a gas after it gets over boiling temperature of 212 degrees. However, it's not water, it's a gas, and therefore you can't kasher with gas, you need to kasher with actual water. So though this machine is a steamer, which means it has super hot water inside it and is shooting out liquid or gas at super hot temperatures, that does not necessarily translate into water actually touching the countertop. All right, so let's see how hot this thing actually is.
Okay, started to get hot.
So in order to kasher, you need to have water and not steam. So let's see if there's any water actually coming out of this thing. Although it's coming out hot, as Rabbi Holland just demonstrated, let's see if it's actually water. Water is a liquid. Liquid that goes up must come down. So let's see if there's anything coming down, as opposed to steam, which will just dissipate into the air.
Not too much water. Let's see if it's hot. Now steam is super hot, and we got over 300 degrees. But that's not enough to kasher. It has to be water.
So the theory is that steam eventually, when it cools down, will turn to water. So let's see if we can try this by shooting steam on it, having it turn to water on the cold countertop, and then trying to heat up that water with the steam.
Even though the steam does condense on the countertop, but it's at a temperature that's nowhere near a kashing temperature. It's not even Yad Zeledesbo. So Rabbi Tendler, is there any machine out there that can efficiently kasher a countertop in a halachically correct way?
So we tested dozens of models of different types of steamer machines that, under $10,000. Obviously, there are industrial machines that can actually shoot boiling water, but those are usually diesel-powered and cost tens of thousands of dollars, range used in industrial cleaning systems. So for home purposes, it's not so practical. We did find one machine that actually will fit the bill in the sense that it shoots boiling water, that is, at temperatures that can actually kasher a countertop. The Tornado VS4 is the only machine that we found that actually works. Let's show you how it operates.
Now, is this an expensive item?
This little machine over here costs over $1,000, but it does accomplish the job. For those of us in the kashrus industry, we use this machine hundreds of times a year.
Let's give it a shot and see how it works. First, let's see if it's hot. That's perfect. Boiling water. This machine allows you to mix water into the steam flow, which makes it possible to kasher according to halacha. Let's see how this machine shoots steam mixed with hot water. And there you have it, water. Could you show us what kashering with the tornado looks like?
Sure. So this shoots out a jet of water probably about this long. After that, it's a very narrow stream. So what I do is I hold it on an angle against the counter, and you get about a wide swath, about that much, that's actually being hit by the water every time I move the nozzle.
And that's how you could properly kasher your countertops with a machine that shoots boiling water. Another advantage of a machine like this is that it makes it very easy to kasher a sink with a direct stream of boiling hot water.
So let's see if this machine shoots steam or water.
Let's try the other machine. So you're staying at a hotel somewhere on a business trip, and you come downstairs in the morning and they have a breakfast buffet. How do you figure out what you could have for breakfast? So let's think about cereal. The cereal looks like kosher cereal, but you don't know where it came from. It could be Cheerios or some off-brand. Maybe it has a kasher, maybe it doesn't have a kasher. Bottom line, you need to go back and look. The same would go for bagels. They'll have bagels there that may not have come into any contact with non-kosher and very likely might be kosher. You need to go in the back and take a look and see if there's a kasher. I've never had a problem. Generally, hotel staff is very accommodating. They'll show you their cut fruit, they'll show you the cereals, they'll show you the baked goods, and very often you'll be able to have quite a nice breakfast in the non-kosher hotel. I cannot tell you how many times we've got the question in the Star K. They have a waffle iron there that's brought by a company that is dedicated to waffles. And they have a waffle batter that comes from a kosher company. Can I use that waffle iron?
The answer is no. Unfortunately, you cannot use the waffle iron. So the halacha is that kelim that are used for hot could potentially have been used for things that are not kosher. And therefore the halacha is that stam kelim that in reshus of a goy that are used for hot may not be used unless you know for a fact that they are 100% kosher, which is impossible to know in any hotel. And therefore a waffle iron or an oatmeal machine or an oatmeal cooker in a hotel may not be used. I'll add on top of that is that anyone who lived in a Bachram Dira in Eretz Yisrael knows for certain all kinds of items that you can cook with waffle irons that are not just waffles. So therefore, I would beware.
In a cold environment, we're not worried about cross-contamination unless there was physical contact. So as long as you see things that are separated and they're not dirty and they haven't come into contact with the other foods there, if you could go in the back and confirm that they're kosher, you could eat them.
You're going to a hotel breakfast bar and they have cut up fruit there. Many times, an industry secret is that that fruit is actually not cut up in the hotel. It comes pre-cut from an industrial facility. And industrial facilities that produce cut up fruit, all they do is fruit and nothing else. And there's almost no kashrus concerns with such items.
If there's zeh in the oven or there's no zeh in the oven, it's a fact. Either there is or there isn't. It's not a pshat. It's a machlokes haposkim if there's zeh in the oven. Now today, we have ovens with a window in the oven. So when you bake in the oven, you see the window gets steamed up. So you see that there's zeh in the oven. But I say that it's a right the opposite way. From that window gets steamed up, you see that there is no zeh in an oven. How is that? Because why does the reason to think that there's no zeh in an oven is because the water vapor will only condense on a cold surface. And so there's water vapor in the air all the time. So when it gets cold, it rains because it condenses on the cold air. So in the oven, the coldest place in an oven is by the window, because in the rest of the oven there's insulation between the two walls of the oven which keeps all the heat in. But by the window there's two panes, there's a pane on the inside, a pane on the outside, but there's no insulation in between for some reason or another, so you should be able to see in. And that's why there's steam there, you see, because it's the coldest place. But in the rest of the oven, there's no steam. And if you open up the oven and you try to, because it's too hot for any steam to attach itself. So if you cook in the oven, there probably is steam. The Shulchan Aruch is usually told where you're baking in an oven. They didn't usually cook in an oven. You could cook, but they didn't. I think they're mostly baked. When you bake, even though that there's water vapor that is coming off in the baked item, but the ovens had a chimney, and the chimney was open, so the air had to flow through every oven. If you don't have air flowing through it, it'll burn, everything will burn. So that's the whole kunz, making an oven so that airflow should be even, that one part shouldn't get more hot than the other. That's why so many people are not matzliach on Pesach when they have these inserts that to get a good baked product over there, because depending on the oven, it's not that one insert can work for every oven. So ovens, they used to have a chimney in the back of the range. There used to be a place where the hot air used to come out from the oven. They later changed that, and they made the hot air come out of a back burner through a back. This is in a gas oven, through a back burner, so the heat goes through the oven, comes out through a back burner, and that was a big shiloh over there, because if you have fleishigs in the oven, cooking fleishigs in the oven, and then you had a milchig pot sitting on the back burner, cold, sitting there, no fires on, but the heat of the oven. First of all the water from this meat that was coming off from the cooking of the meat condensed on this pot, and it got really hot from all the heat going through the oven. So it made a big shower on this pot, whether you could use it anymore for milchigs, anyway, or for fleishigs. So today, they have a new thing, that the heat of the oven in a lot of ovens comes out through the top of the door. You see on the top of the door like 10 or 12 holes with some, they very often have some netting in that hole, and that's where the hot air comes out. You have to have a place for hot air to flow through, otherwise it's not going to work.